You will pay for this! And that bitch too! This is my family, not yours!
Family!
My family is finished, Mark!
Mother begged bikers to rescue her from abuse. What they did next changed her life forever. Sometimes salvation comes through fiber optic cables and chrome exhaust pipes, and the family that saves you is the one you never expected to find. Sarah Matthews had been a graphic designer before Mark. Her portfolio won awards, clients fought over her creative vision, and her designs had graced billboards across 3 states. Now, her creativity went into explaining bruises and timing grocery trips between his rages. Her artistic eye reduced to calculating which makeup would best hide finger marks on her throat. At 2:47 a.m., she sat hunched over her laptop in the kitchen, fingers trembling above keys that might spell either freedom or death. The computer screen reflected hollow cheeks that had once been full, eyes that had once sparkled with creative fire, now dulled by 5 years of systematic destruction. Mark's snores echoed from upstairs, his drunken sleep the only time Sarah could breathe without measuring each inhale for volume. 8-year-old Emma sat in her bedroom drawing escape maps in her homework margins, marking windows and doors with careful precision, while believing that if she was just good enough, Daddy would stop hurting Mommy. 6-year-old Jake had learned to count Daddy's beer bottles. 4 meant hide, 6 meant call Grandma, 8 meant Mommy would wear long sleeves tomorrow. The kitchen table bore fresh gouges from where Mark had slammed his bottle, each scar joining years of damage that mapped their relationship's descent from wedding vows to survival tactics. Sarah's laptop displayed the Breaking Chains support group forum, where she'd been lurking for 3 months, reading stories of escape that seemed impossible for someone whose checking account Mark monitored daily. "I need help," she typed, watching words appear like prayers cast into digital darkness. "I used to design things that made people happy. Now I design lies about why my children see their mother bleeding. We're in Millbrook, Oregon. My husband is going to kill me, and my kids are learning that love means fear." Her finger hovered over post. Through the window, Millbrook slept peacefully, unaware one resident was about to send a message that would save 3 lives and test whether strangers on motorcycles could succeed where official channels had failed. She pressed send. Day 1, 3:17 a.m. Digital response. Sarah's post attracted immediate responses, but one message made her heart race. Username Road Warrior Lisa sent a private note that changed everything. "Sarah, I'm part of a motorcycle group that helps women escape domestic violence. We're the Freedom Riders, but we're not what you might expect. I lost a friend who waited 1 more day for help. I won't lose another." Lisa Martinez stared at Sarah's post from her own kitchen, remembering Michelle, the woman who'd waited too long, whose husband had found her escape plan and ended it with a kitchen knife. Lisa had founded the Freedom Riders with Michelle's blood on her conscience, determined that no woman would die waiting for perfect timing. Day 2, evening, Alliance Building. Lisa arrived at Starbucks looking like a business consultant rather than biker stereotype. At 45, she carried both MBA authority and leather vest wisdom, her Harley pin the only hint of her motorcycle affiliation. "I escaped my first husband with help from women who refused to let me die quietly," Lisa explained, showing Sarah photos of the Freedom Riders' 30 women whose faces carried stories of survival and determination. Sarah's hand shook, describing Mark's escalation, the accidents that broke ribs, cigarette burns applied during arguments, and the gun that appeared whenever their fights reached crescendo. But she also revealed her own survival strategy. "I've been documenting everything in design files he doesn't understand. Timestamps, photos, even audio recordings hidden in project folders." Day 3. Internal conflicts. Lisa's plan triggered the first major disagreement within the Freedom Riders. Beth Morrison, former police officer turned security consultant, confronted Lisa during their planning meeting. "This isn't our protocol," Beth argued, her law enforcement background clashing with Lisa's urgency. "Accelerating timeline risks everyone's safety. We need more preparation time." "Waiting risks Sarah's life," Lisa shot back. "Michelle waited. She's dead. I won't make that mistake twice." Carmen Vasquez, their legal coordinator, supported faster action. "Sarah's evidence collection is extraordinary. We have enough to ensure Mark faces serious charges." But Diana Chin, their child trauma specialist, raised concerns about Emma and Jake. Kids need transition time. Rushing could traumatize them further. Day 4. Rising stakes. The Freedom Riders' reconnaissance revealed Mark's increased surveillance of Sarah, suggesting someone had warned him about unusual activity. His questions became more pointed, his monitoring more obvious. Sarah's text at 6:43 p.m. confirmed their fears. "He knows something. Found my design files, demanded explanations. Tonight feels different. Wrong different." Lisa made the call that would define their mission. Emergency extraction, ready or not. Day 4. Evening. Preparation. Under pressure. Sarah's kitchen became mission control as the Freedom Riders transformed her house of horror into a crime scene being professionally documented. Lisa arrived with her core team: Carmen, legal; Beth, tactical; and Diana, child specialist. Their individual expertise creating comprehensive protection. Emma watched these strange women with fascination that overrode fear. "Mommy, why do the motorcycle ladies have cameras?" she asked, her 8-year-old directness cutting through adult complications. "They're helping us take pictures of the truth, baby," Sarah replied, her designer's eye finally being used to document reality rather than hide it. Jake, meanwhile, had counted 7 empty beer bottles in the recycling, a number that sent him searching for his emergency hiding spot, while Diana taught him safety games that were actually escape procedures disguised as fun. Beth installed hidden cameras with military precision, her police training evident in equipment placement and evidence protocols. "Sarah, your documentation is professional level. Most victims can't think this strategically while surviving daily trauma." Day 4, 9:15 p.m. Team fractures. Mark's early return from poker triggered the team's first real crisis. Instead of his usual Thursday departure, he announced he was staying home to spend quality time with family, words that had never meant anything positive in the Matthews household. "He's been tipped off," Beth declared during their emergency phone conference. "Someone leaked information about our activities." Lisa's response revealed the depth of her commitment. "We proceed tonight. I didn't build this organization to second-guess ourselves into another funeral." But Beth pushed back with tactical experience. "Lisa, emotion compromises judgment. We're not prepared for hostile extraction against an armed, suspicious target." Diana added child welfare concerns. Forcing scared children through chaotic escape could traumatize them worse than staying. Carmen provided legal reality. "If this goes wrong, we lose everything: Sarah's case, our organization's credibility, possibly our freedom." Day 5, 11:30 p.m. Discovery and escalation. Mark found Sarah's emergency phone while searching through her belongings with methodical paranoia. His rage exploded beyond anything he'd previously demonstrated, the living room becoming a battlefield as he threw furniture and screamed accusations about feminist bitches trying to steal his family. Emma and Jake huddled in Emma's closet, following Diana's instructions while listening to their father promise violence that would happen to their mother if she ever tried to leave with his property. Sarah's desperate text reached Lisa from the bathroom floor. "He found everything. Come now or come to collect bodies." Day 5, 12:05 a.m. Point of no return. 8. Harleys approached the Matthews house like thunder announcing Judgment Day, their headlights transforming the quiet suburban street into a stage where private violence would face public accountability. But Mark's reaction wasn't the territorial posturing they'd expected. It was calculated desperation of someone whose world was collapsing. He retrieved his pistol while making phone calls to people whose names Sarah didn't recognize, apparently summoning backup for a confrontation that was escalating beyond domestic dispute into something approaching warfare. "Lisa," Beth's voice crackled over the radio. "We have movement inside, multiple shadows, possible additional subjects." The rescue mission had become something none of them had anticipated. A tactical situation with children in immediate danger and a desperate man whose response to losing control was escalating violence rather than surrender. Sarah pressed against the bathroom door, listening to Mark's footsteps and knowing the next few minutes would determine whether her children grew up motherless or free. Day 5, 12:22 a.m. Armed confrontation. Mark dragged Sarah from the bathroom by her hair, his grip leaving fresh bruises as he hauled her toward the living room windows. Outside, the Freedom Riders formation created a perimeter of judgment that transformed his private kingdom into public accountability. "You call these bitches!" Mark screamed, pressing the gun against Sarah's temple while forcing her to face the women who'd come to save her. "What lies did you tell them about our family?" Emma and Jake pressed deeper into their closet hiding spot, their small hands clutched together while their father's voice carried promises of violence that would happen to anyone who tried to steal his property. Lisa's voice carried through the door with authority earned through years of surviving similar monsters. "Mark Matthews, Sarah and the children are leaving tonight. You can surrender your weapon and walk away or face consequences you're not prepared for." 12:27 a.m. Escalation. Mark's response revealed tactical thinking that chilled everyone. He'd called his brother Danny and 2 associates, armed men who'd arrived through the backyard while the Freedom Riders focused on front access. Sarah's rescue had become a hostage situation with children trapped between competing forces. "Tell your dyke friends to back off, or watch me teach these kids what happens to families who betray their fathers," Mark announced, his weapon now shifting between Sarah and the staircase where Emma and Jake were hiding. Beth's police training kicked in as she assessed multiple armed subjects, limited visibility, and civilian children at risk. "Lisa, we need immediate backup. This is beyond our capabilities." But Lisa had made a promise to Sarah that transcended tactical concerns. "No woman dies on my watch, not again." 12:31 a.m. Impossible stakes. Emma's voice came from the top of the stairs, small and terrified. "Daddy, why are you hurting Mommy again? We were good today. We were really good." The presence of children changed everything. Mark's attention shifted from Sarah to Emma and Jake, his weapon moving toward innocents whose only crime was loving parents who'd failed to protect them from each other. Sarah felt something break inside her, not destructively, but like chains snapping to release strength she'd forgotten she possessed. "Point that gun at me," she commanded with voice that surprised everyone. "Your fight is with me, not with babies." 12:35 a.m. Courage under fire. Mark turned his weapon back toward Sarah, but the distraction allowed Beth to make her move. The former police officer burst through the front door with tactical precision, but Mark was faster than anticipated. The gunshot that followed echoed through the house like thunder. Beth collapsed, blood spreading across her vest, while Emma's screams pierced the night air. Sarah realized with crystal clarity that she faced a choice that would define her children's future: surrender to Mark's violence or fight with everything she had left. Diana's voice carried over the chaos. "Sarah, the kids need you to be brave now." The battle for the Matthews family's freedom had become literal warfare, with Beth bleeding on the living room floor and Mark's associates closing in through multiple access points, while two children watched their world explode into violence that would either free them or destroy everyone they'd ever loved. 12:38 a.m. Sarah's transformation. The sight of Beth bleeding on her living room floor triggered something in Sarah that 5 years of abuse had tried to destroy: protective fury that transcended fear, design thinking that applied creativity to survival, and mother's love that made death preferable to watching her children grow up believing violence was normal. "Emma! Jake!" Sarah shouted toward the stairs. "Remember the safety game Diana taught you? Go now!" While Mark was distracted by his wounded victim, Sarah grabbed the kitchen knife she'd hidden months ago, the same weapon that had appeared in her design portfolio as emergency equipment, disguised as cooking utensils in lifestyle photography. In that moment, Sarah's designer brain calculated angles, timing, and spatial relationships with the same precision she'd once applied to award-winning advertisements. Mark's position, his attention focus, the distance between them, all variables in a life-or-death design problem. 12:42 a.m. Community response. Lisa and Carmen burst through different entrances, while Diana guided Emma and Jake through their bedroom window to safety. The three-pronged rescue executing with coordination that Mark's chaotic violence couldn't match. But Mark's brother Danny had anticipated multiple access points. The living room became a battlefield as Sarah fought her husband with 5 years of suppressed rage, while the Freedom Riders engaged Mark's associates in combat that would have devastating consequences for everyone involved. Diana took a bullet in her shoulder while protecting the children, her injury adding to Beth's wounds and creating medical crises that transformed rescue into triage. Sarah found herself applying pressure to Diana's wound, while Lisa disarmed Danny with techniques that left him unconscious but breathing. 12:47 a.m. Justice through violence. Mark made one final desperate lunge toward Emma and Jake, apparently believing that harming his children would somehow restore his control over the situation. Sarah intercepted him with the kitchen knife, her blade finding his shoulder with precision that stopped his advance without killing him. "This is for every night they heard you hurting me," Sarah whispered as Mark collapsed. "For every bruise they saw, for every time they hid while you destroyed their childhood." The sound of sirens filled the air as police finally arrived, summoned by neighbors who'd reported gunshots and screaming from a house that had hidden its secrets for too long. 12:52 a.m. Aftermath begins. Detective Sarah Chen found the Matthews house transformed into a crime scene that would take weeks to process fully. Sarah's documentation, combined with the Freedom Riders' evidence collection, created a prosecution case that would ensure Mark and his associates faced decades in prison. But the cost had been higher than anyone anticipated. Beth required emergency surgery for her gunshot wound, Diana needed extensive treatment for her shoulder injury, and Sarah herself faced assault charges for stabbing her husband, charges that were dropped when prosecutors reviewed 5 years of documented abuse. 6 months later, realistic recovery. Sarah's new apartment was smaller than her former home, but filled with light that had been absent for years. Emma, now 9, still flinched at male voices and drew pictures that sometimes showed monsters with her father's face. Jake, 7, wet the bed during thunderstorms and counted everything, not just beer bottles, but stairs, doorknobs, windows. But twice a month, they laughed during Freedom Rider barbecues. Healing wasn't linear. It was 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and learning that setbacks didn't mean failure. Lisa visited regularly, her own recovery from Michelle's death intertwined with Sarah's journey from victim to survivor. "You know what the most amazing thing about that night was?" Lisa asked during one visit. "What?" Sarah replied, genuinely curious. "When you told Mark to point that gun at you instead of the kids, that's when you stopped being a victim and started being their protector. Sometimes salvation comes through fiber optic cables and chrome exhaust pipes, and the family that saves you is the one you never expected to find, proving that courage is contagious when communities refuse to let love die in silence." Mark Matthews received 25 years for domestic violence, weapons charges, and conspiracy. His conviction became precedent for prosecuting domestic violence cases involving organized support networks, with Sarah's documentation methods now taught in victim advocacy programs. Beth recovered from her injuries, but retired from active Freedom Rider operations, becoming their training coordinator for tactical situations. Diana's shoulder healed, though she carried permanent scars that she considered proof that children are worth protecting. Sarah completed her psychology degree with scholarship support from victim advocacy organizations, specializing in art therapy for domestic violence survivors. Her healing journey took 3 years of intensive therapy, during which Emma and Jake learned that recovery wasn't instant transformation. Emma's drawings evolved from escape maps to portraits of strong women, while Jake's counting became a mathematical gift that earned him academic recognition. Both children participate in peer counseling programs, their survival experience helping other young victims understand that healing is possible. The Freedom Riders expanded to 17 states, with Sarah leading training programs that teach women to document abuse through creative methods their abusers won't recognize as evidence collection.